Hi, it's Stephen here from Sound of a Nation Wave, and this is day 3 of the December daily draws. So let's see what message we get today. And I'll be taking the first card from the Greenwich Tarot, followed by an Oracle card from the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle. So let's choose our first card and get the reading underway. Okay, here we go. We have the Moon card. So you can see the reflection of the moon there in the pond, or it's a pond or small lake. I think it's more like a pond, isn't it? It's in the water. You can see the reflection in the water. There's a fish jumping out of it. She stood there. You've got the trees around, got stars. It's a night situation. So, to me, the Moon card is all about we don't see everything. What we see is maybe a reflection of what is there. We have the light of the moon, which is often, to me, it's a light, and when it's full like this and shines down, and it gives a certain amount of light, but it's not a full light. It's almost an eerie type of light. So what we see something. We sort of see what's around us, but not in the fullness. And sometimes the way that the light casts shadows and everything, sometimes we see things as something that isn't really there. Sometimes we see things or we can't quite make out, and we guess, and it looks like something, but in reality it's not that, it's something else, but we can't quite make it out because of the way that the light shines upon it. So it's almost an illusionary kind of light sometimes as well. So the real question here, the real thing here is that we may be seeing something of a situation. We may be seeing certain aspects clear enough to see. So we know perhaps those aspects are there. There'll be perhaps other aspects in the situation that we think we see something, but it may not actually be completely what we think we see. There may be a bit of distortion going on there. We may think we see something and as one thing, but it might not be that. So we have to be careful we don't jump to conclusions. And there'll be other things, perhaps very pertinent to the whole situation, that we don't yet see at all. That they're sort of below the surface. We can't quite see. The light isn't strong enough to illuminate them. So there are hidden factors that we don't yet know. That if we did know, our conclusion and our response may be completely different to what our initial response or reaction would be. So I think the message of this card today, I mean, obviously with the Moon card, you can interpret it as, there are certain ways to interpret the Moon card, but this is what's sticking out to me today. This is one aspect of the Moon card, the illusionary, we don't see everything clearly. if this was the sun card, the brightness of the sun, we have the full light, it's daytime, we can see things a lot better in that situation. But it's not, it's the moon card. This obviously aspects to the moon to do with intuition, fear, dealing with our primal fears and various things like that. But I'm focusing on the illusionary, the eeriness of the light and the limited light that's there. It's a light that we need. We need to use that light, but we need to realize that it doesn't show everything. So we need to be, as I say, the message is to be not to jump to conclusions, to realize that, well, what we do see in part, yes, that's fine. Other aspects of it be that we sort of think we see it, but we're not quite sure, so we shouldn't put too much weight on that until it's clearer. It's not clearly defined enough. It may be tricking us into seeing something a certain way when it's not actually that. And there are things that we don't see at all that we need that information before we make a judgment, a decision, or whatever. So what we need to do is follow the actual clear light we have, okay, cautiously, but realize that the rest of it, we need to be discerning and perhaps give time for greater illumination before we put too much store in what we think we see and wait until we get those missing pieces that we get. So we've got limited illumination, but we don't yet see the full picture. That is what this card is saying. Okay, let's see which oracle card we get to go with that. Falling in love. Interesting. So it may be to do with a relationship. And considering we've had a lot about emotions, relationships, okay, it might be a possibility of a potential romantic relationship, but we don't yet, we see a little bit of that maybe, but we don't know about that kind of what that relationship is yet. We don't know everything about that other person yet. There are aspects that we don't yet know. There are aspects about the person we think we know, but are not necessarily what they seem. So it may be to do with a relationship with someone that we need a bit more information on before we make a decision about that relationship. That's one possibility. So, or it could just be a relationship in general, not necessarily a romantic, possible romantic relationship. But whatever the case, it may be there are situations here that we don't know the full picture of situation or the person involved. To fully make a proper decision, we need to sit up on it a bit more. Be cautious, yes, make a few steps if necessary where you can see clearly enough, but not beyond that until we get a clearer picture. Okay, so that's today's message. I'll be back tomorrow with day 4. Until then, thank you for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye-bye.